Welcome to the Flynn Effect podcast, where we dive deep into all things culture, industry news, and history, all with the goal of helping our clients to perform better. All right, so today I have the pleasure of introducing Flynn's newest creative director, Jason Lucas. Yes, round of applause from everyone in the room. Just to both embarrass you a little bit and casually get some of your kind of story out there, a sliver of your story. Jason brings big agency experience from BBDO, Publicis. Is Publicis?
I say Publicis.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not French. So,
yeah. VMLY&R. But what really stood out in our conversations is your approach to creative and technology and leadership, certainly. And, I've gotten a great glimpse into that the last couple of months, or I guess like six weeks. So we are going to dig in today on what you've learned, a little bit what you believe about the future of creative, and maybe why you chose Flynn.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's dive in first with this sort of like big agency to independent shift, because it is certainly a shift.
Yeah.
And with working at those big, global agencies even, what do you think you took away from those experiences that you're excited to be bringing to more of an independent agency? And I know you worked at other small independents and, SaaS companies in between, but.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, there's a lot of opportunity at big agencies. You've got bigger budgets, more national accounts, but a lot of layers.
Sure.
a lot of struggles to get things done. And really one of the last ones I was at, there was a situation where they were trying to figure out how to just squeeze an hour out of every single person everywhere and just put you on projects you didn't even know. It started to become not really great.
Got it.
So yeah, small agencies, obviously much closer to the clients. We can do better work at that realm. I feel like the more I know about what's going on with their business, the better work we can create.
Yeah, absolutely. And not that I have personally ever worked at a large agency, but I would imagine there's a little more flexibility too when you are in those situations where you're like, if we just put 5 more hours into this thing, like we're going to nail it. To your point about, red tape and hierarchy and all the things.
Well, I mean, they definitely have an ability to kind of move people around and, really put a lot of firepower against different projects.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, it's really trying to really do the best work we can.
Yeah. Pros and cons to both.
Pros
I am
and
sure. Cons. I'm curious just what made you say yes to an independent and Rochester-based agency, because that's kind of the next step here is trying to get you to move over to this coast. Yeah.
I mean, and it'll sound like a thing that everybody might say, but it really is people. At the end of the day, clients come and go, and to find a group of people that you can work with that you want to see every day and do great work with is really what I was looking for.
Yeah, I'm with you. You walk in here, there's lots of smiles. That's what we aim for.
Well, and everyone helping each other out.
Yes.
I see a lot of that. There's obviously there's none of the red tape, but it really is.
Yeah.
I see people go out of the way to help to get things done, which is really great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very tight knit. We're like 22-ish people, and so you got to be like that for sure. All right, let's talk about creativity in regulated industries, because we typically work in highly regulated industries such as healthcare, financial services, insurance, all those peace of mind brands that we talk about. And I think sometimes, and this might be a generalization, but creatives might run from that more regulated space just because it feels a little more restrictive. And we during the interview process talked a lot about the type of work we did. So I'm just curious, like, you're leaning into it. Is there a reason? Do you like the challenge?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, creativity comes out of like the box you're put in, and the tighter the box, sometimes the better the creativity.
Yeah.
I think for these types of industries that we're talking about, it's about also finding empathy, which is bigger than just like, what's a crazy idea we can do? It's really trying to get into the mindset of each of the people that are, working with these industries and finding out what makes them tick and get in there.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think that goes back to authenticity. I just had a conversation with Ashley Rifflin about what we're doing in the media space and, AI generated content versus more authentic. And I do think people are going to crave more of that, like true heartfelt getting, and not necessarily like sad emotion. It might be elated emotion, whatever it looks like, but really making that feel true.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah. Good. Do you think creativity is harder in regulated industries? I know you just said sometimes the smaller the box, the more creative you can actually
Mhm.
be, but with a bigger consumer brand, like, is it easier to come up with an idea?
No, I mean, sometimes budget, I mean, having unlimited budget is its own problem.
Yeah.
I think trying to find a good idea on a tight budget in a tight box, again,
Yeah.
creatively is a really, that's a challenge. But I think when you get there, everyone knows you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to, sometimes you can have everyone can have an opinion about the idea.
Of course.
But I think when you have something that is very clear in terms of what we need to achieve, you'll know you'll know you've gotten there when you hit the end of it.
Yeah. And that's one thing I appreciate too about us being a more, performance-based shop is like really getting into the details of did something work or not, like
Hmm.
having those metrics available. I mean, it's awesome if you get to unveil a campaign and be like, it's just objectively a good campaign, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's nice to have the metrics to back it up too.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, cool. Let's talk about tech a little bit. Our, mandatory AI session, because this is something that came up while we were talking too, is just this sort of like tech powered creativity, right? So, what do you think that actually looks like in practice as a creative leader?
It's scale in terms of ideas. I mean, the ability to kind of individually, beyond a brief, beyond what a strategist can, provide, I can go deep on my own and kind
Mm,
of find little nooks and crannies. And normally I would have done that through just web searches,
sure.
but it's cursory. And so the ability to just go deeper and deeper to find out exactly, something different that will make this really stand out is what I think it really empowers.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense. And as we're talking about specifically like AI changes to the process, like that does seem to be the big selling point, if you will, is like freeing up the time to focus on the idea, fill the idea, like dig really deep on that one
Hmm.
idea versus, being kind of like broad, inch deep.
Yeah, it's like a cursory thing that everyone else would find. And
Yeah.
it's really hunting down each of those ideas to kind of figure out where, like chasing it down to see where it'll really go.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes total sense as a, creative director on the I guess on the execution side too. Like, do you think that the tools out there presently to kind of we're going to call them generative AI tools are
Uh-huh.
beneficial, or is there still, room for improvement?
Well, there's obviously room for improvement. But of course, there's an amazing ability now for any creative to sit and take something from concept to completion
Hmm.
and show how it'll really work. And
Yeah.
I think that's phenomenal. It's got glitches. Certainly
Yeah.
it's not, it lacks some humanity, but if you're trying to just show how great an idea could be, you
Yeah.
have tools now that are so incredible.
Yeah. I think that's helpful on the client side too, because sometimes clients are trying to describe something to us that lives in their head
Hmm.
that it's very difficult to translate that down to on paper. So even if clients are able to then say, "Hey, I just like put this into Midjourney really quickly and like it's not this, but like it helps to illustrate
Yeah.
what I'm talking about," if we can make those connections better.
Well, and there's this, in the industry, there's demo love and this idea that you'll see a thing and you're like, yes, we're
Mm,
done. And so there is the kind of fear of like, I've shown you a commercial that was
yeah.
shot with no shooting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, great, let's run it. And it's like, we can't.
Yeah, we don't own this.
It's not real. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to kind of like take it to completion. So
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It comes with a big fat asterisk and
right.
caveat.
Right. I
Yeah.
guess really we should be putting watermarks on everything that we do.
Yeah, something like that for sure. All right, I got some rapid fire questions for you. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. Favorite campaign you've worked on?
Mm, FedEx, I'd say. Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
very interesting.
yeah. It's just, I mean, again, lots of great budgets, but a really great client who used to work in an agency,
Okay.
and so like totally knew
We
what they
agency folks
wanted.
love that.
Yeah, yeah, and just really like understood how to buy creative and what it could do for the brand. So
Awesome. Okay. Most overrated marketing trend right now.
AI.
Yeah, I know.
It's the the give and the take. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What about most underrated?
Oh.
Something you'd like to see more of?
handmade things, clay, drawing,
Oh, actually,
let's
I was
get
going to
back.
ask you, like, you mean like claymation?
I mean, like doing it the hard way. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And you can tell. I mean, it
Yeah.
just really, the output at the end really has, it feels so different.
Yes. Were you at the staff meeting where somebody showed us that it was a French grocery store that did sort of
I
like a
have not.
claymation? Oh, I'll have to show it to you. It was so
Mm-hmm.
good. I was like tearing up.
Aw.
It was very sweet. All right. If you weren't in advertising, what would you be doing? Have you always been in advertising, by the way, like straight out of school? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I like working with my hands. I like
Yeah.
woodworking, so
Oh, awesome.
home renovation, building things.
Yeah.
I really love all that. I've got a whole garage full of tools.
Okay. I love that for you. I was going to say maybe musician. I know you're passionate about music.
I do like music. I don't play any
You're not good
instruments.
at it?
I'm good at listening to it.
Love it. Okay. Last thing. One piece of advice for young creatives.
Hmm. Gosh, that's a good.
I know. I didn't mean to put you like on a. Why? You have Debbie Downer advice?
No. Piece of advice for creatives. I really, the important thing is to
Take your time. And I would say people who are just getting into the industry, right? Like it's an interesting time. So, do you have any advice that you would give to them?
I have no advice.
Like, not really. I'm totally jaded and just get out while you can.
No. I'm trying to think of like some of the stuff I was talking to Shannon about.
Yeah.
Is asking a million questions. I feel like everyone puts as much information in the brief as they possibly can, but
Sure.
but you still don't know until you start to wrap your head around how you're going to get to that solution.
Yeah.
So, asking as many questions as you possibly can before you start, because you're going to save time.
Yeah.
And you'll find, in those conversations, you're going to end up finding a solution.
Yeah.
Something will come out and that'll be the nugget that you can take and build on.
Yeah. I had a conversation with Brad Garrett recently where he was kind of talking about his process, and he said the first thing I do is just like research, just like fill the bucket in my mind and then kind of like let it just percolate. And I think we're in a time in ad agencies right now, like where everybody wants everything today. And so that makes that so difficult. But as a best practice, like if you can allow for some rumination and have that curiosity, like you're just gonna get a better product out of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. All right, Jason, any final words?
No, I mean, I feel like this went a lot better than the last podcast I was on.
What was that? I'm gonna look it up.
I had to eat a lot of chicken wings. I don't want to really get into it.
Well, were you on hot ones? This I must know. All right. Well, next time I'll have some da bomb waiting for you.
Exactly. There you go.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jason. We'll have you again on soon.